Welcome to the Nurtured Soul. My name is Matthew, and I want to thank you for joining me today. And the purpose of this channel is to help each one of us in navigating our thoughts and our feelings, and really learning how to nurture our souls. And we've talked about that. One of the most important ways that we do that is, of course, in truth. And truth is the language of the soul, and I've done a video on that. And so in this channel, you are going to hear truth, and you're going to hear truth in a very loving way and in a way where emotions are controlled. My goal is to give you details, give you facts, let you sort through them, but do it in a very kind, gracious way. Even if we disagree, you're going to have something to think about. And so I'm going to be presenting things on this channel that are sometimes very controversial, but I want you to be able to hear other sides of an issue. And so today I want to just take a moment. In all of this COVID stuff, you hear a term used a lot: essential. Is something essential? Which what they mean by that is if it's not absolutely necessary and vital to our existence and our thriving, then it can be temporarily closed down, shut down, put on hold or pause. But it's interesting to me because, and I want you to think about this, because it's interesting to me what has been deemed essential versus non-essential. And in this day of all of this stress and anxiety, it's interesting to me that we are living in a time where there are things that are considered essential. For instance, most liquor stores are considered to be essential. In a day where there's so much mental health struggle and anxiety and stress, and people are turning to alcohol. And it's interesting because liquor stores are considered to be essential. Some casinos are considered to be essential. The last thing that people need is to be going and gambling away their money or getting further in debt, making poor decisions. And yet these casinos are considered, some of them are considered to be essential. Abortion clinics. So in the midst of all of this, some abortion clinics are considered to be essential when some hospitals are closing down, or certain parts of them and procedures that can't be done. Apparently, you can still choose to end your baby's life in the midst of this pandemic. So I find that interesting. It's also interesting to me that some of these protests and these riots and gatherings of people that are protesting, and it becomes violent, and all of these things going on, they are allowed to gather, and those things are considered to be essential. And so in light of all that, then we come over here and we now have a movement to make churches non-essential. Churches, places where people can find hope, where they can find worship and encouragement and family and fellowship. And those places of worship are being deemed non-essential, and are actually being, in places like California and others like Nevada are starting to follow, where now we're talking about closing these churches and saying that they can't meet because they're not essential. And so that, I find that to be interesting. Also, it seems to me like that there's a movement for schools to be closed down, and that schools are not essential. So now, apparently, buying alcohol, ending an unborn baby's life, giving your money away to a casino, going out and acting foolishly and violently, rioting, those things apparently are more valuable and essential in our culture versus worship of God, versus educating our children It's just a very troubling thing. And I'm putting this out here because I want you to understand that what these things are pointing to is this. There is an agenda here. That this is really not about an illness as much as it is about control. Control comes through fear mongering, and then getting control so that they can push an agenda. There are two things here. There's a political agenda, certainly, and I'm just going to tell you, it is, when you look at these facts and details, it is obvious that if schools are closed down, if churches are closed down, that it will impact an election in November, and a presidential election. So I want you to really think about that. And really understand what's going on. More than a political agenda, there's a spiritual agenda here, and these people are have an agenda to go away from the things of God and remove any kind of spiritual influence or accountability. And so I put all this out there. Even if you say, boy, I don't know about that, it sounds crazy, I'm putting this here. If you want to have a healthy soul, then you need to nurture your soul. And the way that you do that is you need to know truth. And one way you get to truth is ask questions. And I want to challenge you to ask the questions of, how are we coming to the conclusion of what is essential versus what is non-essential? Because I can tell you this, I believe anything that is going to hurt a person physically, spiritually, mentally, that should be non-essential. We don't want that. But anything that would give hope or help or encouragement or help to heal should be something that is essential. And after all, here in America, should we not then allow people to decide for themselves what they believe is personally essential and beneficial for them? And so we have, there's certainly an overstepping and imposing upon our rights and our freedoms, but certainly an attack also on the spiritual realm and upon those that are believers, our faith. When we live in a day where a church is told that they cannot meet, and then you have city leaders threatening to turn the electricity, the power off to that building if that church meets, then I hope we would see that there is more going on here. It is important that you be informed. And I bring this up because I simply, this video, I don't have all the facts and all the answers. This is to get you thinking about essential versus non-essential. And I would say this, God is essential. For every aspect of your life, God is essential. Freedom is essential. America, patriotism is essential. And so, just something for you to think about. And I would love to have any comments from you. I understand there are many that disagree. Listen, I love you. I want to help you and encourage you. Even if you disagree with me, we can still be friends. This is how, though, this attitude is how people with healthy souls can respond. Not violence, not uncontrolled protests, not lashing out and attacking people, but to simply put forth some different views, different sides of the coin, and say, would you consider this? If you're really interested in truth, it would demand that you consider these things. God bless. Have a wonderful day.